You are. Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is indeed Sarah White, and I'm happy to be here to tell my story. It is a personal story about my journey and my experience with BRCA and all the things that I have been through. Um, Also want to acknowledge that I am coming to you from the traditional unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, including the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. So what's going to happen is I have a little agenda, a little presentation, and I'll go through what I'm thinking and what I'm hoping for today. Like I said, I'm going to share my story. I'm going to share a clip from a documentary that I'm in, which I'll tell you more about in a little bit. And then I really actually want to open it up for questions and discussion and comments. I feel, quite strongly about this topic in that, there hasn't necessarily, in my experience, been a lot of discussion about alternative options around surgeries and talking about women's bodies and what's acceptable and how people feel about the options that were given. So what I hope for today is that we will have some discussion and share stories and questions. I know that there's probably healthcare professionals too, so maybe not necessarily decisions they've had to make, but they may have worked with folks and witnessed that. Share some resources and strategies, and I hope that these conversations will continue. And as always in these group things, just a reminder to share the mic and let others speak. And that's that. So here we go. So a little bit about me. This is my story. This is my family. I've been with my wife, this one right here, tomorrow for we'll be 39 years this with July, which in gay years is like 1,000, I think. So we're a kind of trailblazers, I'd say, a little bit in terms of when we had a family. These are our boys over here, Max and Ira, and our goddaughter, and some of the partners, and our granddaughter. It wasn't easy in those days we had no access to, lesbians didn't have access. Oh yeah, that's right, I'm queer and I'm lesbian. Didn't have access to fertility clinics or anything like that. So it was pretty challenging to actually have a family. And we didn't know many couples or families who did have kids. So our kids are now, Max will be 32 this year and Ira 27. And Raina, our goddaughter, is mid 40s. So a little bit about my Jewish identity. I grew up, I have one parent, my mother was Jewish, my father not. So I grew up very assimilated and not very connected to my Jewish identity. That came as a young adult when I kind of went on a journey myself to understand more about that. So my BRCA story came as a bit of a surprise. It was precipitated really by two things. One is that I had a cousin in Israel who had contacted our family many years ago and told us that there was lots of BRCA, this gene, BRCA1 and BRCA2, and cancer in the family, and told us about it and said to my mother that maybe she should get tested, which she did not. And some years later, at age of 86, she died of ovarian cancer. And so that made me, more motivated to try and get tested. At the time, it wasn't easy to get tested. I had to bring a lot of proof and documents from my cousin in Israel to actually get tested and I could see why, because there wasn't cancer in my immediate family, because a person of 86 doesn't really count in the stats for having cancer in your immediate family. And so they, it seemed like I probably wouldn't have it, but in fact I did. And so I had precancerous cells in a breast at the same time, so it was kind of lucky. So lumpectomy, oophorectomy, double mastectomy, that was all kind of in a couple of years. So my medical journey, the reason I show this picture is just to talk about a little bit about my identity, that I am, gender non-conforming or non-binary, or however one wants to say it, but, to the best of my ability, or in terms of acceptance, I've always been that way, and, have gone in and out of it because of pressures around me to not be that way, but it's really who I am. Um, and I want to also acknowledge the difference between my experience and what it's like for younger people, especially younger women. I know the decisions I had to make were in a not easy, but easy in the sense that I didn't have to consider, children, or, whether I could have children or things like that. So I want to acknowledge that I know that there's a continuum and some differences in how challenging some of these decisions are, and also the effects. I mean, I was already in menopause, so for some of you who may know this, like obviously younger women who have oophorectomies or go into, menopause very early. So just wanted to note that. And again, just kind of back to what I said initially, is that, the options were, surgery, general surgeon, just to have a double mastectomy. But I was strongly encouraged to see a plastic surgeon, but a surgeon who does reconstruction, breast reconstruction. It never really occurred to me at the time to say, like, are there any other options? And also because of the kind of journey I went through during this process, I don't think I was totally aware of how I might feel if I didn't have breasts. I'd never considered like top surgery or anything like that. But now, what I discovered is that I'm actually more comfortable that way. I didn't know that at the time, but it's, to me, it would be great in the medical world if someone like who presents like me, that it would that medical professionals would have sort of that sensitivity or awareness to say, like, maybe we should send you to the gender affirming care versus suggesting that you have breasts that are bigger than the ones that you already have. So, and I think that's the piece around body image for me, is that, why isn't having a flat chest okay? Whether you have any kind of reconstruction, be that sort of the top surgery or not, but why isn't having a flat chest okay? Why aren't women encouraged to have, not from a risk perspective, but just to say, like, it's okay, why don't we still love women's bodies without breasts? So that's something that I think about a lot. And then something I did discover along the way, and I don't know how many folks know this, but that if you've had cancer or you have a genetic mutation, that there actually are options to have more surgeries, or if you want to have corrective or other things, that they're covered by our medical plan. And that was just kind of luck that I found that out. So that's another piece that would be really important to communicate to folks. So that's in saying how could it be different, that's what I'm seeing, is that more sensitivity or understanding or knowledge about, and this is like a few years ago, and it's my one experience, so I'm not speaking on behalf of others, and I'm telling my story the way it happened for me. So next, not quite that. So the documentary that is referred to happened. This is Ali Grant, the filmmaker, and who's a friend of mine. And how this came to be was that I told I was talking to her one day and I told her about that I was about to go see a breast cancer surgeon, but I didn't have cancer and I'm only half Jewish. So how do I have this BRCA thing? And, there were a bunch of other things in my life that I felt that were like not quite that. And she's like, that's a really interesting idea. And that would make a great documentary. She also had just become a new filmmaker. So I was like, great, you practice on me. This will never happen. So obviously it did. But it also, the reason I talk about it is for a couple of reasons. And because it also really influenced my journey and what I discovered about myself. It allowed me to probably have conversations that I may not have had with my family, with my kids, with my friends. And I'm going to show one of those conversations. And I think it really, I mean, I don't know how to compare if I hadn't had the film, because obviously I can't compare it to what didn't happen, but it really did influence and helped me, really understand my identity and more about who I was. And it was not easy to do at all. But in the end, I was glad to do it. And it's currently doing the film festival circuit, and it is resonating with people. It's not just about BRCA, it's about queer families, chosen families, about discussions about our bodies and all of that. So what I want to do is show a clip from the film, because it really is the conversation about. So what happened is, when I had to think about and make this decision about whether to have reconstructive surgery or not, I thought, well, I don't know how I really feel about all of it and what do my friends feel about it. So you'll see that we had a conversation. And so I'm hoping that will, inspire some thoughts and conversation and feelings. And after the clip, we'll regroup and hopefully have a chat. So let's show the clip.
Could you hear it now?
Yes, we can. Is this the
When I
right
had to
spot,
think
Sarah?
about, decide whether to have reconstruction or not, my initial reaction was no. So then it started making me think, well, what do I think about my breasts? Like, I don't even know. And one of my friends and my other women in my life, so I started asking people, what's your relationship do you like them? Do you want them? What would you do?
So I guess we're all talking about how we feel about our bodies and our boobs. How do you feel about your boobs?
Oh, we're going around the table doing this?
You missed that.
Yeah, okay. How do I feel about them? I'm attached to them, oddly enough, yeah. And I think that's probably not normal for me, being probably, as I'm known as the soft butch in the relationship. So if I was to go through anything that Sarah's going through, I'd probably have a reconstructive. Smaller, but reconstructive.
Well, if you have reconstructive surgery, they take everything completely apart and take out the part that's disease, it's cancerous, and then they implant tissue that wasn't there, so it's not connected by the same nerves.
Oh, it's the nerves.
Yeah.
I felt 100% betrayed by my body when I started growing tits. Like, I was like, as an athlete, I was like, what is this? Sorry. So I love a whole diversity of boobs, but I just hate my own. Because it felt like a body betrayal that I kind of never got over. And I'm fascinated between how you internally present to yourself and feel congruent to yourself and how you externally. And I don't get assaulted or accosted in the bathroom, so I don't know what that feels like. I can hear it, and it distresses me, and I don't know it. And I've always felt like a disconnect between how I even present externally and how I feel internally.
It's funny, like, if you have bigger breasts, are you more attached? Because I'm very small-chested. But I can't see myself without them, probably because more of the feminine lesbian identity that I've always had.
I used to have very butchy, short hairdo, and then I found that it didn't serve me well. The way presenting that way, especially professionally. Sometimes I wonder, like, if this is how I really would present myself, if I really got to just be. I don't know. But if I think about my breasts, I think that I've always really liked them, which kind of surprises me a little bit. I feel like I would really grieve and miss my breasts if I had to get rid of them, but that I would let them go. That it wouldn't be something that I would fight for.
My take on it would be slightly different. It's challenging. Like I find if I go into a washroom, I'm very clear. Like I'm like, right here they are. I'm supposed to be here. And I think that that would be the only thing. Like if I didn't have them, I'm like, how would I buy access to places? I get to be here because of this, and really that's kind of all that I feel like sometimes gets me in there. And so I think like if I didn't have that, like where would my token be? Like I wouldn't have it anymore. So I think if I had breast removed because of cancer, I wouldn't consider reconstruction. It wouldn't feel something that would feel congruent for me.
I never identified at all with my breast or any female part of my body really, because I was like, this is great. I just love playing, road hockey and soccer and all those kinds of things. And so I was always thankful that I had really small breasts, because I don't know, I barely wear a bra. It's like a little sports bra, and half the time it's like half on my breast. Not, right? Because I don't even have any. I think if the decision was I needed to have a double mastectomy, though, I don't, like, in this moment, I don't think I would do reconstruction.
How about that dinner party that just went that way?
This is the best dinner party ever.
Fucking awesome for introverts, right? It's like, it's real conversation. Yeah, and just thinking about whether having a reconstruction or not, it just like, no, I can't. It just would not feel, it would feel like I was faking it. It would feel like I was just trying to pass or something. It's about self-acceptance for me. Yeah. It's like, because the way I am, okay, fine, I have some little bumps that get past me, but mostly people think I'm weird or I don't fit so I would have to do a lot to pass. I didn't have cancer, I'm not a guy, I'm not trans, not Jewish, I'm sort of Jewish. I'm Jewish enough to get the fucking BRCA.
So that's the clip that I wanted to share in hopes that yeah, if people feel comfortable sharing their thoughts, questions, comments, that was the concept. I know not everybody's comfortable with that, but we can stop the recording at any point. Yeah, Tess?